The signal came out of nowhere, a quiet hum in the vast expanse of space. The Federation's communication stations first thought it was a glitch, perhaps a random pulse bouncing off a distant star. But as the frequencies were analyzed, something became clear. This was no accident. It was deliberate. It was a message. And it was aimed directly at Earth, the old forgotten world that hadn't made a meaningful impact on galactic affairs for centuries. The Federation's council convened to discuss the signal's origins. No one knew what to make of it. The planet had long been deemed insignificant, its people relegated to mere legends of an ancient species that had once roamed the stars with their now lost technologies and forgotten glory. Earth had fallen silent generations ago, and its name had become little more than a whisper across the galaxies. The message itself was puzzling, a long sequence of binary code that at first glance seemed meaningless. But after deeper analysis by the Federation's best cryptographers, a pattern began to emerge. The message was a simple invitation, or so it seemed, calling to Earth's people to open their eyes to something hidden beneath their planet's surface, a call to rediscover something ancient, something powerful. But what could it possibly be? The Federation's top leaders debated their next steps. Some suggested the signal was nothing more than a trap, perhaps sent by an enemy species, testing the waters of a vulnerable world. Others believed it could be an opportunity, a chance to study Earth's mysterious past and the strange message they had received. There was no consensus. The Council could not agree on how to respond, but one thing was certain: the entire galaxy had taken notice, and Earth's silence was now broken. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. At first it was met with skepticism. Governments scrambled to determine whether the signal was real or a hoax. Conspiracy theorists and scientists alike speculated endlessly about its meaning. But as the days passed and more data was collected, the undeniable truth began to sink in. The signal was real, and it was reaching out to Earth from the stars. Across the world, whispers of old stories began to resurface, tales of humanity's past that had long been dismissed as mere myth. Ancient civilizations of Earth that had supposedly possessed technologies capable of reshaping entire galaxies, grand empires that stretched beyond the solar system. But those stories had faded with time and been overshadowed by modern history. The signal now brought those forgotten stories back into the light. Governments worldwide held emergency meetings while military leaders pondered how best to respond. Humanity had always been a species of explorers, but they had not ventured beyond their own system in centuries, and now they were being beckoned to reawaken their ancient connection to the stars. But who or what had sent this message? What did they want from Earth? In secret bunkers and high-tech labs, governments around the world began digging deeper into the signal's origins, trying to find any clue that might lead them to an answer. But as the days passed and no concrete explanations emerged, the sense of unease only grew. The quiet hum of the signal lingered in the background, a constant reminder that something was coming, something far beyond the comprehension of Earth's leaders. Yet the feeling grew clearer by the hour. The galaxy was watching, and Earth's next move would decide everything. The first wave of invaders arrived without warning, massive ships of unknown design emerging from the black void of space above Earth's atmosphere. Their sheer size dwarfed anything humanity had ever seen. The ships were like floating mountains, their dark surfaces reflecting no light, a silent reminder of the power they held within. At first, the world's leaders believed it was a misunderstanding, a massive miscommunication, or a trick. But as the ships began to descend on major cities, their intent became painfully clear. They were here not to negotiate, not to observe, but to conquer. The skies above Earth darkened as cities around the world were plunged into chaos. Humanity's military forces scrambled to respond, but the invaders' technology was far beyond anything Earth had developed. The ships moved with terrifying precision, their weapons unleashed without mercy, tearing through defenses and leaving entire cities in ruins. Earth's most advanced fighter jets were torn apart with ease by the invaders' energy blasts. Human-made satellites exploded in midair as if they were made of paper. Governments quickly declared a state of emergency, and the world's leaders called for unity. But even as humanity came together in this dark hour, they faced a brutal truth. They were hopelessly outmatched. Earth's best weapons seemed like toys compared to the invaders' overwhelming power. Yet amidst the devastation, something unexpected began to happen in the streets of cities where the bombs fell, and the fires raged. Ordinary men and women rose to the challenge like never before. Groups of civilians formed resistance cells fighting back against the invaders with nothing but courage and improvised weapons. Their ferocity was unmatched as they fought for their homes, their families, and their world. As the battle raged across Earth's surface, strange phenomena began to unfold. Humans who had never shown any sign of special abilities suddenly began to manifest extraordinary powers. Some seemed to control the very air itself, while others could manipulate the ground beneath their feet, creating walls of stone or sending shockwaves through the invaders' ranks. It was as if something deep within the earth had awakened something that had been dormant for centuries. These new powers were a mystery to everyone, but they were a spark of hope amidst the destruction. The invaders, who had expected an easy conquest, now found themselves struggling against a foe they had underestimated. Their overwhelming technological advantage was no longer enough to guarantee victory. The humans of Earth were fighting back with an intensity and resilience that seemed to defy all logic. The invaders began to question the planet's worth. The resistance was fierce and relentless. The Federation had been watching from afar, tracking the movements of the invaders and observing Earth's defense efforts, but even their most advanced sensors couldn't explain the sudden surge in human capabilities. The strange powers that began to appear seemed to be linked to the ancient history of Earth itself. The Federation's advisors debated fiercely. Some believed it was a trick of the invaders' technology, perhaps a ploy to throw Earth into chaos, while others argued that humanity's sudden resurgence was no coincidence. Something more profound was at play. Back on Earth, the resistance was gaining ground, and even as entire cities fell to the invaders, there was a growing sense of unity, a belief that the planet could survive, that it could push back against the forces that sought to destroy it. Humanity had been brought to its knees, but they were not ready to surrender yet. The battle for Earth had just begun, and the invaders would soon learn that they had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. In the heart of Earth's chaos, a discovery was made that would change everything for humanity's defenders. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, an ancient facility was uncovered by a team of researchers seeking refuge from the ongoing war. The structure had been hidden for millennia, buried under layers of ice and snow, untouched by time. At first, it seemed like just another relic of a forgotten past, but as the team ventured deeper into the heart of the facility, they began to realize that this was no ordinary ruin. It was a vault, a repository of knowledge and technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Holographic archives flickered to life, as if recognizing the presence of those who had uncovered it. An eerie hum filled the air as dormant machines whirred to life. The researchers marveled at the technology left behind by humanity's ancient ancestors. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Vast star maps that stretched across galaxies and blueprints for ships that seemed to bend the laws of physics themselves, detailed schematics for weapons that could obliterate entire fleets, and strange devices whose purpose remained a mystery. But there was something even more incredible hidden deeper within the vault. Among the most intriguing discoveries were strange metallic tablets etched with symbols that matched the patterns in the signal humanity had received weeks earlier. The tablets were inscribed with an ancient language that had never been seen before, and as the researchers painstakingly deciphered it, they uncovered a chilling truth. Earth's ancestors were not simply explorers, they were conquerors. These ancient humans had once ruled over vast stretches of the galaxy, their empire extending far beyond the stars. They had discovered technologies that allowed them to manipulate the fabric of space itself, creating gates that connected distant worlds, and harnessing energies that defied all understanding. But at some point, for reasons unknown, they had vanished from the galactic stage, leaving only traces of their power scattered across the universe. The vault's discoveries left the researchers stunned, but also filled them with a sense of urgency. They had only just begun to understand the depth of Earth's potential, and already the invaders had come. The message from the stars had not been a warning, as humanity had initially thought. It had been a call to awaken the long-dormant powers of the Earth. As the researchers began to unlock more of the vault's secrets, They realized that humanity's ancestors had left behind more than just weapons and star maps. They had left behind something even more precious, a means to unlock the hidden potential within every human being. With this newfound knowledge, the researchers transmitted their findings to global leaders around the world. The response was swift. The world's militaries began to mobilize not just with weapons, but with knowledge, technologies, and powers that had once been buried beneath the surface of the Earth for thousands of years. At the same time, reports began to flood in from the front lines of battle. The resistance forces across the planet had begun to demonstrate even more incredible abilities. People who had never shown any sign of exceptional skill were now bending reality around them, forming protective shields from the air or summoning firestorms from the earth beneath their feet. It was clear now the invaders had made a grave mistake. They had awakened something within Earth, something that the galaxy had forgotten, or perhaps never known at all, something that would make humanity's fight not just about survival, but about reclaiming their place in the stars. As humanity unlocked the lost technologies and powers of their ancestors, they realized that this was only the beginning. Earth had been silent for too long, but now it would speak again, and the entire galaxy would hear its voice. As the world's leaders scrambled to understand the full extent of the ancient technologies uncovered beneath the Arctic ice, the pace of change accelerated across Earth. Humanity's sudden resurgence was no longer just a matter of desperation. It had become an awakening, a return to a forgotten legacy, and what was once thought to be a fragile species fighting for survival was now beginning to reveal its true potential. The vault beneath the ice had proven to be more than just a repository of knowledge. It was a gateway to a new era for Earth. Humanity's ancestors had left behind systems that allowed the integration of ancient technologies with modern minds, sophisticated machines designed to enhance the human body and mind, unlocking abilities that had been thought to be purely myth. Teams of scientists, engineers, and military leaders worked around the clock to study the devices in the vault and replicate the ancient technologies hidden within them. In a matter of weeks, humanity's defenses were transformed from primitive to cutting-edge. The invaders' weapons no longer held the same weight they once had. Humanity's soldiers were equipped with armor capable of withstanding the most powerful energy blasts and weapons that could disintegrate enemy craft with a single shot. More than that, the newfound knowledge began to manifest in ways that defied all understanding. Human soldiers began to perform feats that seemed impossible for ordinary people. The ability to manipulate gravity, walk through walls, and see across vast distances were just the beginning. These powers became commonplace as the population across Earth tapped into their latent abilities. But as humanity began to embrace its ancient potential, the invaders were not idle. They had learned quickly that Earth was not as weak and defenseless as they had believed. Their attempts to crush resistance were failing, and their forces began to retreat, to regroup. But the question remained: who were these invaders, and why had they come to Earth? The Federation had been watching Earth's rise from the shadows. Their leaders were both impressed and terrified by what they were seeing. They had thought humanity was just a relic of an ancient past, an insignificant species too fragmented and divided to pose a threat. But now they were witnessing the birth of something much larger, something that could shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. Reports from Federation scouts revealed that the invaders were not acting alone. They were part of a vast network of species that had long sought to control the galaxy by conquering its weaker inhabitants. Their methods were brutal and unforgiving, but Earth's unexpected resistance had thrown their plans into disarray. Back on Earth, humanity's leaders began to realize that their fight for survival was not just against the invaders, but against an even greater threat, one that had existed for millennia. A galactic empire that sought to control all worlds under its iron fist. Earth had been forgotten by these galactic overlords for so long, but now, with the sudden resurgence of human power, they were forced to pay attention again. And so, Earth's resistance was no longer just a matter of defending their home. It had become a rallying cry for the entire galaxy. Those who had once been oppressed by the galactic powers saw the rise of Earth as a symbol of hope, that perhaps there was a chance for freedom beyond the control of the Empire. As humanity's power grew, so did their resolve. The invasion was no longer just a fight to protect their world. It was a declaration to the galaxy that Earth would no longer remain silent. Earth would reclaim its place in the stars, and the invaders, along with the Galactic Empire, would soon learn what it truly meant to face the full wrath of a united humanity. With the invaders retreating and humanity's newfound powers continuing to evolve, Earth's resistance transformed from a desperate struggle for survival into a full-scale offensive. The world's cities were no longer just defending. They were fighting back. Humanity's once fractured forces now worked in perfect harmony, a united front fueled by the technology and abilities of their ancient ancestors. The first major counterattack came when a group of human-led fleets intercepted a massive invader convoy that was attempting to regroup in low orbit over the Pacific Ocean. The humans' new weaponry proved devastating. Their ships glided through space with speed and precision that no one had thought possible. Humans wielded energy-based weapons that ripped through enemy ships with surgical precision, and their fighters moved as if they had been designed to outmaneuver the enemy at every turn. In the heat of battle, something truly incredible occurred. A human commander named Captain Elara Davis, who had no prior experience with the advanced technologies uncovered beneath the ice, suddenly unlocked a previously undiscovered power. She had been in the middle of a routine engagement when her mind seemed to connect with the energy fields of her ship, as if the very fabric of space and time had bent to her will. In a flash, the fleet's weapons fired in perfect synchronization, targeting weak points on enemy ships with unmatched accuracy. This was just the beginning. It wasn't just technology the humans were beginning to master. It was their ability to control and manipulate forces beyond the understanding of the invaders. As more humans unlocked these powers across Earth's resistance, it became clear that they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to reclaim their rightful place in the stars. Humanity's ancestors had once ruled the galaxy, and now Earth's descendants were prepared to do the same. Back on the ground, entire cities began to rise from the ashes of destruction. Technologies, once thought lost, were now being used to rebuild and expand Earth's power. Humanity had reclaimed what was rightfully theirs. Ancient gates were opened, granting access to far-flung worlds once thought unreachable. Through these gates, Earth began to expand its influence, re-establishing old colonies and forming alliances with other long-lost human settlements scattered across the galaxy. The Federation watched from the sidelines, still unsure of how to respond. Some of its members were beginning to see the rise of Earth as a threat, but others, particularly those who had once seen humanity as a joke, began to shift their perspective. Earth's resurgence was undeniable, and it was a force that could no longer be ignored. The invaders, now realizing they had stirred something far more dangerous than they had anticipated, attempted to rally their forces, but they were already divided. Each alien faction feared the power Earth was awakening in its people, and as internal strife began to tear their alliance apart, the Federation saw an opportunity to make a move of its own. Behind the scenes, several key Federation members initiated secret meetings with Earth's leaders. They sought an alliance offering protection and support in exchange for access to Earth's new technologies. The offer was tempting, but humanity had learned valuable lessons in the past weeks. Trust was no longer a commodity they could afford to give away easily. As Earth's leaders pondered their options, the decision was made clear by the people themselves. Humanity was not simply interested in surviving or relying on others for help. Earth had tasted the power of its ancestors, and the future of the galaxy was now in their hands. Earth was ready to ascend once again to the heights it had once known, and any force that stood in their way, whether invader or empire, would soon learn that they had awakened a sleeping giant. Earth was no longer silent. The galaxy would never forget what it had just witnessed. The awakening of Earth's power was like the rising of a new sun across the galaxy. The resistance that had once been a desperate fight for survival was now a force of unstoppable momentum. Humanity had unlocked the ancient technologies, and with them the means to reshape their world and the universe around them. Ships built from the blueprints of the past soared through space as if they were extensions of human will itself. These ships were not simply weapons. They were tools of creation, each one capable of altering the fabric of space-time itself. On Earth, entire continents were transformed with the help of ancient machines that harnessed the raw energy of the planet. These technologies allowed cities to rebuild and expand with speed. Never before seen entire regions flourished, and what had once been barren wastelands were turned into lush, thriving landscapes. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were rebuilding their civilization from the ground up, more powerful and resilient than ever. But as the power of Earth grew, so did the unease in the galaxy. The Federation, which had once dismissed humanity as a relic of the past, now watched in awe and fear at what was unfolding. The sudden resurgence of Earth's ancient technologies and powers had thrown the delicate balance of galactic politics into turmoil. Some factions within the Federation saw the rise of Earth as an opportunity, a chance to forge new alliances with the humans and benefit from the knowledge and power they now wielded. But others, especially those who had long feared the expansion of humanity's influence, began to view Earth's resurgence as a threat. Their messages were clear: humanity must be contained or controlled. Earth's leaders, however, had a different vision. They were not interested in alliances based on subjugation or compromise. They had spent centuries in isolation and silence, and now, with the full weight of their ancestors' legacy in their hands, they knew it was time to reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy. Earth would not be content as a subordinate power. They would rise above the ashes of their past and take their seat among the stars. As Earth's power continued to grow, humanity's influence spread rapidly through the galaxy. Through the ancient gates that had once been dormant and sealed, humanity reached out to distant worlds where human colonies had been lost to time. Many of these worlds had long since been abandoned, their inhabitants scattered or forgotten. But now, Earth's fleets arrived, not as conquerors, but as liberators. On these forgotten worlds, humans found the last remnants of their own kind, lost civilizations and cultures that had been cut off from the core of humanity's empire millennia ago. These new human colonies welcomed Earth's return with open arms, eager to join the fight and reclaim their place in the galaxy. The unity that had once seemed impossible was now a living reality. Humanity was no longer divided across scattered worlds and broken histories. It was a single force again, and nothing could stop them. Yet, as Earth's influence spread, so did the fear of their rise. Alien factions who had once looked down upon humanity began to form their own coalitions in a desperate bid to resist the inevitable expansion of Earth's power. The invaders, once thought defeated, regrouped, and as they did, they sought new allies from across the galaxy to challenge humanity's growing strength. But Earth's leaders were prepared. They knew that this was only the beginning of the struggle. The galaxy had underestimated Earth once, and now they were about to face the full fury of humanity's reclamation, not just of their world, but of their destiny. Earth was not simply a planet. It was a symbol that the galaxy had forgotten, but one that would soon remind them all of who they had once been and who they were destined to become. As Earth's influence spread like wildfire across the stars, the galaxy trembled with uncertainty. The invaders, though scattered and weakened, were not finished. Their factions had rallied once more, and they understood that the stakes had grown higher than ever before. Earth was no longer a defenseless backwater world. It was a force capable of reshaping the galaxy, and they could not allow that to happen. In the halls of the Federation, leaders convened in secret emergency summits. Some urged immediate action to forge an alliance with Earth, recognizing the inevitable ascension of the humans and the incredible potential they now held. But others, especially those who had long feared Earth's ancient power, began to organize a resistance, a coalition of alien species who would unite to stem the tide of humanity's resurgence. The Federation's dilemma was clear. They could not simply ignore Earth's rise, but neither could they allow humanity to dominate the galaxy once again. Earth's forgotten empire was a thing of legend, and now that it was returning, it threatened the delicate balance of power that had been established over the past millennium. Across Earth, the message was clear: humanity would not bend to anyone's will again. They had fought too long and too hard to survive the silence of their exile, only to be cast back into subjugation by galactic powers that had long written them off as insignificant. The rise of Earth was no mere political maneuver. It was a reclamation of their place in the stars, and the galaxy was going to have to reckon with it. The invaders, now desperate and on the defensive, made their move. They knew that to defeat Earth, they would need to unite every resource they had left and call upon their allies within the Galactic Empire. They had once been a part of their fleets gathered once again, larger than before, and they prepared to make their final stand in a battle that would decide the future of the galaxy. But humanity's response was swift and resolute, faster and more lethal than anyone had anticipated. Earth's fleets, armed with the ancient technologies of their ancestors, were now fully integrated into the galaxy's ongoing conflict. No longer limited to the technology of the past, they wielded new weapons, energy fields that could shatter entire fleets and ships that moved faster than the eye could follow. At the heart of this growing resistance was a coalition of human colonies from across the stars. Humanity was no longer a single world fighting for survival. It was a united force spanning dozens of planets, each one contributing resources and soldiers to the effort. The humans had tapped into their long-lost legacy and were now unleashing it across the galaxy. But even as they rose, the Federation began to divide. Factions formed within the ranks of the galactic powers. Some saw the rise of Earth as a necessary evolution, a challenge that would unite the galaxy under a new banner of strength and cooperation, while others feared that Earth's return would be the spark that ignited a new age of conquest and war. The galaxy watched as tensions escalated into open conflict. The first great battle between Earth's united forces and the combined fleets of the invaders and their galactic allies was fought above the planet Garmith, a world that had long been a neutral hub for trade and diplomacy. It was here, in the skies above this world, that the fate of the galaxy would be decided. Humanity had risen from the ashes of its past, and now it was ready to reclaim the legacy that had been stolen from it centuries ago. The invaders, who had thought their victory was assured, were faced with a truth they could not deny. The humans had never been as weak as they appeared. They had only been waiting for the right moment to rise again, and now that moment had come. As the battle raged above Garmith's orbit, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Earth's forces had come together in a display of unity and strength that no one had seen in millennia. Their determination was unshakable, and the galaxy would soon learn that underestimating humanity was the greatest mistake they could ever make. The battle above Garmith unfolded like a storm of fire and light. Earth's forces were relentless, cutting through the invader fleets with precision and fury the galaxy had never witnessed before. Ships that once seemed invincible were torn apart by humanity's new weapons, and the invaders' attempts to retaliate were met with overwhelming resistance. Humanity fought not just with advanced technology, but with the will of a species that had survived millennia of silence, waiting for this moment to reclaim its destiny. The Federation, having watched in awe as the tide of battle turned in favor of Earth, now found themselves at a crossroads. Some factions within the Federation began to realize that Earth's rise was inevitable, and they could either join the humans in forging a new galactic order or face the wrath of a united humanity that had been dormant for far too long. As the invader fleets were scattered and destroyed, their leaders realized they had made a grave miscalculation. Humanity's resistance had not been a mere spark of defiance. It had been a growing fire, stoked by ancient power and knowledge that had been buried for centuries. Their defeat was inevitable, and the cost of continuing the war was too great to bear. Amid the chaos, the battle above Garmith's orbit came to a climax when Captain Elara Davis, leading the final assault against the invaders' command ship, unlocked a power within herself that no one had foreseen. Drawing from the ancient energies of Earth and the knowledge left behind by her ancestors, she manipulated the very space around the enemy flagship, collapsing its shields and disabling its engines in a single devastating move. With the enemy flagship now adrift in space, vulnerable and helpless, the remaining invader forces surrendered or flowed into the depths of the galaxy. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were left with nothing. The victory at Garmith was a turning point in the galactic struggle. Earth had not only defeated its invaders, but had proven that the galaxy could no longer ignore the power that had been awakened within them. The ancient technologies, once thought to be legends, had brought humanity to the forefront of galactic politics, and their place in the stars was no longer in question. In the aftermath of the battle, the Federation called for a summit, a final meeting to determine the future of the galaxy and Earth's role in it. As Earth's representatives entered the summit hall, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. What would happen now that humanity had returned to its rightful place? The humans were not interested in war any longer. They had fought for too long and paid too heavy a price. Their goal was not domination, but unity. The galaxy had been fractured for centuries, ruled by factions that saw each other as rivals rather than allies. Humanity's message was simple: together, the galaxy could rebuild and flourish, or it could remain locked in endless conflict. Earth's proposal was a new vision for the galaxy, one where humanity's rediscovered legacy would be shared with others, where species could unite not through fear or conquest, but through mutual respect and the pursuit of knowledge and growth. The Federation, recognizing the wisdom in Earth's words and the strength that humanity had proven, agreed to a new era of cooperation. Even as some factions still feared the potential of the human resurgence, Earth's leadership was wise and resolute, and with their voice now heard across the galaxy, the balance of power began to shift. In the years that followed, Earth became a central pillar in the rebuilding of the galaxy, leading efforts to unite fractured systems, re-establish trade routes, and foster peaceful alliances. Earth's forgotten empire was now a beacon for the future. A future where humanity, no longer silent, would stand as a guiding force for the galaxy. The silence had ended, and with it came a new beginning for Earth and the stars, one where humanity would rise not as conquerors, but as guardians of the galaxy's future.